This Clippers team, man. This Clippers team. This is definitely the most potent Clippers teams I ever seen in Clippers history. No other moment in Clippers history the team had done anywhere near this good. Out of all the 25 games we played, I believe we won like 22 of them. I think. I don't know exactly. I saw something like that on social media. But this Clippers teams now, winning streaks are just pretty much like nothing. We're on a 5 game winning streak. And the way how we be winning these games, man, has been insane. This is not like a traditional post game talk. This is just more of an overview because I missed a lot of post game talks because I kind of felt like somewhat under the weather. Like I was like it's like moderately sick, but not like so sick that I couldn't do anything. But I just didn't feel like making any vids at the moment. But I've been watching some like most of these games, man. Like I probably like out of all the 20 games I missed, I probably say I missed like one or two, but I pretty much watch like every single of the games, like how I usually would do. And this Clippers team has been so amazing. Um, considering that Zubac went down, just like a week or two ago, um, and he's gonna be out like I believe for like 4 weeks, according to the time that when he was listed out. This Clippers team just does things so well, even without Zubac. But when Zubac comes back, it only gets better. Um, the Clippers, they find ways to beat you at every single aspects. Um, this game versus the Celtics, just check the scoreboards. The Celtics, everybody was healthy except for Porzingis, but they essentially had everybody. We just blew them out. Scoreboards doesn't look as insane, but if you were watching the game, um, the Clippers just dominated them. Yeah, their shots wasn't falling in, but either way, the Clippers' chemistry was kicking in. Ball movement was so nice. Um, James Harden um didn't have the best game. Russell Westbrook didn't have the best game, but Terrence, man, he stepped up. Kawhi Leonard stepped up, and it was an all-around team performance. Ball movement was so good. Everybody knows how to find ways to, find guys to get some nice lobs and all that. It's amazing to see, man. It is insanely amazing. Like, look at all the teams that we beat. So, January 8th, we blew out the Suns. And then, the 10th, it was a close game versus the Raptors. We won. The Grizzlies, we won that game too. That was a pretty solid game. That was kind of like one of my favorite players, G.G. Jackson, got some minutes. Didn't look too well because that was his debut, but now he's tearing things up. Um, Lost to the Timberwolves. I think this was the game that I didn't watch because, lots of football games were playing. But, apparently Wolves just dominated us, and I think the Clips, they kind of made a little spark, but wasn't good enough. No worries. Wolves at the time was the number one team. Um, Paul George had a monster 40-point against the Oklahoma City Thunders. And then the Nets, bruh, we were down by 16-0, man. 16-0, and then at the fourth quarter, we were down by like 20 points. There was 10 minutes left. Even when there's 5 minutes left, it looked like the Nets were gonna win. But the Clippers just found a way to get it together, man. Like, this team's unbelievable. Um, the Lakers game. The Lakers game, um, it looked like the Clips, they were like kind of like about to fumble. They kind of played lazy. It was in the later quarters too. Usually the Clips, they like to play lazy in the first half, but they kind of did towards the late, but they still pull it off. Harden, he had an amazing game. Like I said, the Clippers, they're really unpredictable on how you play against them because it could either be Kawhi going off against you guys, could be Terrence Mann having a good game. Um, Terrence Mann, Terrence Mann, um, you know, like I said, when he's on, he is an extremely valuable piece. People can laugh about the Clippers saying, "Oh, like why is this role player untouchable and all that?" But you cannot always like have all the all stars on the paper, and just because you're getting a star in return doesn't automatically mean it's a good trade. Um, but and then Terrence Mann, look, when he was bad during December, people were laughing at him like crazy. But now, when he's been on, the haters are quiet. That's just how people are. When you're good, they love you. When you're off, it depends on what your name is. If you have like kind of like a favorable fan base, of course they will defend you. But of course, if you're a role player and especially when you have the label, oh, he's untouchable, of course they're gonna go crazy. It's like people they love to judge things based off hindsight. When the Clippers traded for Shea goes out, like when they traded Shea for Paul George, apparently they laugh at the Clippers. They call the Clippers dumb. But if Shea goes Alexander, if he wasn't good, but the Clippers didn't trade him, people would make fun of the Clippers for not trading Shea Gilgeous Alexander. So it really is like people tend to want to try to be like be on the right side of history. Even when Luka was going to the draft, some says, "Oh, he's too slow. He's unathletic. Um, he's not gonna do anything." But now look at him. He drops into 73 points. Even with my favorite player, Gigi Jackson, I wanted him to be with the Clippers. Um, I didn't expect him to fall pretty low in the draft until like the last 2 weeks. And before that, I was wanting the Clippers to go all in and trade like a good role player like a Norman Powell for Gigi Jackson. And some says that what are you doing? He's not going to translate well in the league. But look at him now. He is doing insanely well. And I'm telling you, a side note, Grizzlies teams now since he's get his skills unlocked, they're a pretty gritty team. So if you if your favorite team is not really playing or you just want to kill time, Grizzlies they're pretty fun to watch. But I'm just saying like how people will act. Like they always like to make fun of the end result and they always want to act like they were on the right side of history. Like they don't even try to like see the other side that especially the Paul George trade. Like if you asked every single NBA fan, would you trade Shai Alexander, who back then was considered to be just another young player that nobody knows about. Like I'd say like let's just say like out of 100 people you asked like all of them like would you trade Shea and then 5 first round picks for an MVP caliber player, Paul George at the time he was third in MVP, and it was in order to bring the Finals MVP Kawhi Leonard, and and then you ask them would they pull the trigger? You bet that 95 out of 100 people would say yes. The only people who would definitely hesitate about that trade is if you're really like a draft hobbyist and you know that Shea was good from the start. Back then, well, how I reacted when I saw Shea in the deal, I kind of felt like a little bit sad. By the time I was so overjoyed that Kawhi's coming to the Clippers, so of course that wiped it away. But now, of course, me as a draft hobbyist, um, it would have hurt me like more. Let's just say if you put me during in 2018 and I reacted to the news, but anyways, I should kind of like end a side note, but that this Clippers team, They're pretty insane. Especially, I think the Clippers versus Celtics though, that was like a huge test for us, and we passed it with flying colors. Um, Tatum was doing good, but everybody else couldn't make shots. Could be a combination of it's an off night, but again, the Clippers play back to back, and yeah, you got to consider how good our defense is, especially with Kawhi. Um, one of the games that the Celtics blew us out, Kawhi didn't play. Not saying that it was excusable, because that was inexcusable that we got blown out that bad, but man, January, this seems insane. But anyways, let's look at our schedules. I think the Clippers winning streak, it easily could keep on rolling. I think the Cavs, they could give us like a little bit of roughness because the Cavs, they do got talent. They got Evan Mobley. They got Jared Allen, Donovan Mitchell, Karis LeVert. So, and oh, Darius Garland too. So they do got a stacked squad. I believe they did beat the Milwaukee Bucks as well too. So that's that's a pretty solid team, and it's a road game. So it could be a little bit 50-50. But again, the Clippers, they're always known to pull off the impossible, and we do have a good amount of rest. And then we face the Wizards. That should be a win. Pistons should be a win. The Heat, they've been a mess lately, from what I've heard. Like they like the Grizzlies, which is my other team. The Heat, they played my other team, the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies, they pulled it off. Like we pulled it off, like the Grizzlies. Like man, like the Heat, they didn't seem to. They seemed pretty lost, but I think when it's February the 4th, though, they might slowly pick up the momentum and they might be kind of desperate to get a win. So that could be an obstacle as well, too. The Hawks, Clippers are beating them because the Atlanta Hawks, they've been a complete mess. They let Luka drop 73 on men. That's all I got to say. You let Luka drop 73 on your head. Like, Luka's amazing, but that's brutal. Their defense have been terrible. Terrible. The Pelicans, that could be a hard one too, because the Pelicans, they tend to have our number. But we beat them finally, so that's good. Pistons, we already know. The Wolves and the Warriors, that could be a pretty good one. But Clippers, they've been insanely good. And Kawhi, he did amazing. Um, especially, um, you know, the game, for, even the game versus the Celtics, like, he did his part. He did his part. And especially the Nets. Like, Kawhi, he threw a lot of dagger shots. Dagger shots, what I mean by that is momentum shots that like, swung the momentum for your team, and then, which ultimately got the Clippers to win for the Nets. James Harden, fitting the role so well. Facilitating so well, making accurate passes. He's been amazing. Plumlee, could kind of use some work. Starting to kind of show some clunkiness, but he has moments of being a lob threat at times. Not really a lob threat, but I'm saying that he could kind of occasionally catch some passes and then get the put in. Daniel Tice, though, in my opinion, it has been better. Um, but man, even without Zubac, club has been doing their thing. Paul George, he hasn't been really doing so well lately. He's been, his shots hasn't been falling, but um, he exploded versus the Thunder, so that's great. Russell Westbrook, Russell Westbrook has quietly been having a good game too, except for the game versus the Celtics. But other than that, everything's just going well. Like even Paul George, like yeah, like his scoring wise is not as good, but he always contributes in everything else. Um, but I think this is where I should end off this video. The Clippers, they are legit, and you know they definitely could keep the win going. And this is a pretty special team. Like I don't know what else could I say this. What else? How I could put this? Like I don't know what else to say because this Clippers team been a roller coaster. Started off terrible. When we got Harden, people were laughing at us, but now this team has been off the charts, man. But thank y'all so much for tuning in, and as y'all know, go Clippers. Enjoy your Sunday, and peace.